And it was a way for us to put down on paper the explicit invitation that we wanted to make about this community. In the center of it is faithfulness. It's listening to the divine and following the leadings that we hear. And our purpose of reclaiming and reinventing Quaker practices for current time so that all can feel welcomed and into ever deepening faithfulness, which is at the center. And around that is a set of what we have named values: caring for families, radical hospitality, starting from yes, and also queer affirming, which is a word that we use every week when we talk about who Three Rivers is and welcome folks to this gathering. And because this is Pride Month, my goal was to have a message that talked about what it means to be queer affirming. So all week I have been wandering through sort of the history of queer theory and queer theology, through liberation theology and through womanist and feminist theology, through gay and lesbian theologies, through structuralism and post-structuralism and essentialism with Foucault and Derrida, because queer theory is a pretty complicated and complex philosophical construct. And I am at the same time navigating the condition of being a single parent while my spouse is away doing some family business and being a single non-anxious parent. So last night I went to bed at the same time as my child did, aiming to get up at 5 a.m. and finish cleaving off all of the unnecessary parts of this message. And I woke up at 2 a.m. and could not get back to sleep until 5 a.m. when my alarm went off, and only managed to add more to the message. And despite my best efforts to get to sleep, could not. And then I remembered two things. One of them was a story that my friend Elaine from Pacific Yearly Meeting shared about how for several months she would wake at 4 a.m, unable to get back to sleep. And that at that point, she would just pray. And so I tried that. And I heard the words, rest, let it go. At which point I remembered the other thing that is unique about Quakerism, which is that we don't ever have to do anything just because we said we'd do it. That showing up even for a prepared message at a Quaker gathering where hundreds of people are assembled, if that message isn't ready, if you are told not to bring it, it's okay to let it go and put it aside and to listen for what the Spirit has instead. And so I think this is the first of two parts of a message wondering what it means to be a queer affirming community. And the first part of that is that it's okay to let go of the plans you have and just to rest in the Spirit, which is actually particularly related to being queer affirming. I won't go into the long and complex literary theory, but until next time, and not in too much complexity. But the evolution of the academic discipline of queer theory is to disrupt assumed norms and structures. And so I'm inviting us to settle into some waiting worship after we break out into small groups and to be with each other and hold what it means to disrupt the structures and norms that assume that things have to be a certain way. I think the other thing that I will share about preparing for this message feels very vulnerable, and maybe why I was kept awake. Because sharing this message potentially meant sharing years and years of disappointment, of my own coming out story, and of not being met in community after community, and the ways in which I have been and know others who are longing for a place to call home and longing for a place that not only names itself as welcoming or tolerant, but centers, celebrates, and assumes as not just normal, but wonderful the experience of everyone there, including gay, lesbian, trans, and non binary folks. And sometimes it's hard to hope for things, lest you be disappointed again. But in that message this morning was also that the Spirit doesn't disappoint.